Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us on this Wednesday night. We have several fast-moving stories. First, President Trump tonight and his emergency order grounding all Boeing 737 MAX 8s and 9s here in the U.S. The move came amid growing pressure. The UK, France, Germany, Canada had all grounded the jets already. President Trump announcing the decision from the FAA, citing new evidence. Tonight, what we've now learned, why his decision today. And that order taking effect immediately, leading to confusion, concern. You will hear air traffic controllers telling pilots of the news ordered back to the terminal. And tonight, news pilots and some first officers had anonymously shared their own concerns, some of them, about that new Boeing jet during some domestic flights. ABC's David Curley covers aviation, and he leads us off tonight.
This Southwest 737 MAX 8 flight into D.C., one of the last, as the U.S. tonight joins the rest of the world.
We're going to be issuing an emergency order of prohibition to ground all flights of the 737 MAX 8 and the 737 MAX 9. It's the safety of the American people and all people is our paramount concern.
Immediately, 3 U.S. airlines told to stop flying their 737 MAXs.
We just got a call from your company. You need to contact them. Tower Southwest 410. We've been directed to return to the gate.
This MAX 8 towed from the gate and parked, one of 72 idled. The federal government was under public pressure for days, having watched China, Europe, and today Canada ground aircraft. Flight maps from last week now showing the MAXs disappearing as they were parked. The reason? Similarities between Sunday's crash in Ethiopia, which killed 157, and the Lion Air crash in Indonesia less than 5 months earlier. Both flights with the nose moving erratically up and down right after takeoff. A refinement of tracking data from satellites overnight, according to the FAA, and evidence from this debris field in Ethiopia convinced the agency there are enough similarities in these flights, it grounded the fleet.
Does this mean the two crashes are related?
It does not mean the two crashes are related, but they're close enough that it's worth saying stop flying these airplanes till we get the black boxes read out.
Those 2 black boxes found 2 days ago in Ethiopia are damaged. The delay in extracting data, part of the reason for the U.S. grounding. But tonight, those boxes will be flown to France. The data could confirm if the crashes are related and whether the fastest-selling jetliner ever has a problem. Already, Boeing is working a software fix for one of the contributing factors in the Lion Air crash. And while there have been no documented cases of this erratic behavior on a U.S. flight, a pilot and first officer posted on an anonymous message board that their 737 MAX nosed down when the autopilot was engaged. Tonight, nearly all 370 of this brand new jetliner sitting on the ground. Passengers landing today reacting to the news.
The pilot came on and he said, the president just said that all the flights are grounded and we're returning to the gate. So not much we can do, I'm afraid.
All right, David Curley with us live tonight from Reagan Airport. And David, you've reported that Boeing is working on that fix you mentioned after what happened in the first crash in Indonesia, that nosedive in that crash. And then the Wall Street Journal suggesting that that fix might have been delayed by the government shutdown, but tonight the FAA pushing back on that?
I asked the FAA administrator directly whether or not the government shutdown has slowed down that software fix, and he told me it has not. It'll still be several weeks before it's ready. By the way, David, that's a MAX 8 that's going nowhere.
David Curley leading us off tonight. David, thank you. I do want to bring in our chief White House correspondent, Jonathan Karl. And John, as we look at those pictures from airports across the country tonight, pilots being told to come back to the gate, a lot of passengers who really were already alarmed are going to wonder, after France, Germany, the UK all grounded the jets, why was the U.S. the last to ground the planes?
Well, in fact, David, I am told by a senior White House official that a decision was initially made this morning not to ground the planes because the official said there was absolutely no information suggesting any fundamental problem with the Boeing 737 MAX. That changed midday today when the administration became aware of that new satellite data suggesting a possible link between the Ethiopian air crash and the earlier crash in Indonesia. At that point, the FAA and the Department of Transportation made a recommendation that those planes be initially grounded. The Secretary of Transportation called the president, and he accepted that recommendation.
All right, John Karl at the White House tonight on that part of the story. John, thank you. We are also following what authorities are calling Potentially life-threatening situation playing out for drivers in the evening commute across several states tonight. A dangerous winter storm striking now, blizzard conditions, whiteouts, winds up to 80 miles an hour, the gusts have been reported. And we just learned moments ago that Colorado State trooper has now been killed. And look at this tonight, powerful winds blowing this truck off a highway in Texas right over and spawning isolated tornadoes tonight. This one reported in New Mexico. Blinding conditions causing accidents on the highways in Wyoming and grounding all flights in and out of the Denver airport tonight. The runways completely shut down. We have the track of this storm as it then moves east. ABC's CollegeScandal near the Denver airport tonight.
A winter weather explosion tonight, putting a bullseye on the center of the country. Whiteout conditions from Colorado and Kansas to the Dakotas.
Okay, it's about noon. We are just east of Denver, and the blizzard conditions have definitely kicked in. Visibility here is virtually zero.
In Colorado, parts of major interstates 70 and 25, clogged by crashes, are shut down.
There are dozens, if not hundreds, of cars stranded here on I-70, and the wind gusts, they are unbelievable.
It's all thanks to a rare winter storm with a technical term, a bomb cyclone.
They call this a bomb cyclone because the pressure drops so quickly, and the lower the pressure, the stronger the storm. Here at the airport, we're seeing gusts of 80 miles an hour.
That forced Denver to shut down all 6 runways. 1,300 flights are canceled. Hundreds are stranded with little to do but sleep and play cards.
I grew up in New Orleans, so I've seen a hurricane, but this is a snow hurricane.
In Texas, the winds gusting to 70 miles per hour plus.
Oh my God.
Strong enough to flip a semi.
Oh my goodness.
Ripping a roof off a warehouse and tossing airplanes like toys, even overturning this home, injuring a person inside. In New Mexico Tuesday, 2 reported tornadoes. 5 people were injured in a twister south of Roswell. Near Logan, a remarkable sight, powerful winds knocking 26 train cars off the trestle. No one was injured.
And Clayton Sandell joined us tonight from a very windy scene there near the Denver airport. Clayton, so many drivers stranded. The governor declaring a state of emergency at this hour.
That's right, David. You can see just how bad conditions are. All of the cars on this highway here, they are going nowhere fast. So many crashes, even an ambulance and a snowplow up there are stopped. And as you mentioned just a few minutes ago, we learned that a Colorado State Patrol trooper who was responding to one of the many accidents today was hit by a car and was killed. David?
All right, stay away from that traffic right there, Clayton. Our viewers at home are going to worry about you as well. Thanks for your report. And let's get right to senior meteorologist Rob Marciano, tracking this storm as it moves across the country. Hey, Rob.
Hi, David. This is a rare and record-breaking storm for Colorado, now centered in Kansas. Take a look, but the wind and the snow is still ripping across Denver, up through Rapid City. Those storms that moved through Dallas, now about to hit St. Louis. But it's the wind field that's been most remarkable. Damaging winds potentially tonight in Wichita, Kansas City, Omaha, back through Rapid City. Maybe some flooding with that rain on top of the melting snow in Minnesota and Iowa by 7 a.m. Chicago, Detroit, wind and rain there. This does weaken as it heads off to the east, but the rain will be here in the east on Friday. As it stands now, this is an epic storm. David?
That is for sure. All right, Rob Marciano with us tonight as well. Rob, thank you. And next here this evening to new fallout from that college admissions cheating scandal tonight. Full House actress Lori Loughlin was arrested today and just a short time ago appearing before a judge. We learned that Desperate Housewives actress Felicity Huffman was arrested in the last 24 hours by the FBI with their weapons drawn. And another arrest tonight. The USC's women's water polo head coach arrested at a hotel in Hawaii. And tonight, what about the children? Prosecutors say many did not know, but some likely did. What now happens to them? ABC's Kayna Whitworth at the federal courthouse in Los Angeles.
Tonight, Lori Loughlin set to be released on $1 million bond after being arrested today for her alleged role in that sweeping college bribery scheme.
You've worked very hard for your success. You should be proud of yourself. I know that I am.
The actress who played a role model on Full House allegedly shelling out $500,000 to consultant Rick Singer, along with her fashion designer husband, to get their daughters into USC, posing them as recruits for the crew team, even though they didn't row. Arrest warrants issued for 46 people around the country, including coaches and wealthy parents like Felicity Huffman, seen here at the courthouse after she was arrested by agents, guns drawn and cuffed. Tonight, the actress out of jail on $250,000 bond.
You asking for a bribe?
You pretending you're above that?
I've got my checkbook.
The star of Desperate Housewives, so desperate to land her daughter in a top school, prosecutors say she paid $15,000 to singer to bribe a proctor who would secretly correct her answers. Prosecutors say the scheme's mastermind worked with dozens of parents to game the system.
For every student admitted through fraud, an honest, genuinely talented student was rejected.
Today on USC's campus, students told us they feel cheated.
I feel for people like us who actually strive hard day and night to just come here and learn.
The school firing legendary coach of the #1 ranked women's water polo team, seen here hiding from cameras. He's facing charges for taking $250,000 in bribes. Also fired, senior associate athletic director Donna Heinel, accused of taking a whopping $1.3 million to push through fake athletic recruits, complete with photoshopped pictures.
So let's get back to Kana Whitworth on the story again tonight. She's live outside the federal courthouse in Los Angeles. And Kana, we know prosecutors say that most of these young people, the students, were unaware, but it's believed some might have known. A lot of people are asking what's going to happen to some of these students.
Well, David, USC says they plan to conduct a case-by-case review of current students and graduates who may be involved with this scheme, and they'll make appropriate decisions. UCLA adding that any student involved could face disciplinary action, including cancellation of admission. And David, we have to keep in mind here that prosecutors are not ruling out additional charges.
Kana Whitworth with us again tonight. Thank you, Kana. Next here, a 1-2 punch tonight for Paul Manafort. This evening, the president's a former campaign chairman sentenced to additional prison time. A lot of eyes on that judge and what she would do. This is the second case stemming from the special counsel's investigation. But then just minutes after the sentencing, after Manafort learned his fate today, he was then indicted in New York City on 16 felony counts, state counts. What this could mean for a possible presidential pardon, here's Chief Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas.
Moments after Paul Manafort was sentenced, I caught up with his attorney, Kevin Downing. So you were surprised by the sentence? Disappointed. Manafort was wheeled into court today. He read the same prepared statement, but this time telling Judge Amy Berman Jackson, I am sorry for what I have done. I want to apologize. But Judge Jackson was unmoved. It's hard to overstate the number of lies, she said, and the amount of money involved. Manafort's crimes range from money laundering to tax fraud to obstruction of justice. Still, his attorneys argued he was in Robert Mueller's crosshairs for one reason, his work for President Trump.
Paul Manafort has done an amazing job. He's here someplace. Where's Paul? Paul Manafort.
Manafort's lawyer telling the court, but for a short stint as a campaign manager in a national election, I don't think we would be here today. Judge Jackson did not buy it. The defendant is not public enemy number one, she said, but he's not a victim either. She sentenced the once high-flying strategist to just over 3.5 years behind bars, on top of that roughly 4-year sentence he received last week. Moments later, Downing went on the attack.
It was callous, it was hostile, and it was totally unnecessary.
Manafort's team had told the court prosecutors showed no proof the Trump campaign colluded with Russia. But Judge Jackson pointed out that was never part of the case, saying the no collusion refrain is irrelevant to the matter at hand. She suggested Manafort's attorney was really putting on a show for someone else. Critics say that person is President Trump. Speaking to reporters, that lawyer appeared to have mischaracterized the judge's words.
Judge Jackson conceded that there was absolutely no evidence of any Russian collusion in this case. So that makes two courts have ruled no evidence of any collusion with any Russians. That's not what
And at the White House late today, this question.
Will you pardon Paul Manafort? I have not even given it a thought as of this moment.
And Pierre Thomas reporting in from Washington tonight. And Pierre, we know President Trump was asked that today because he has the power to pardon Paul Manafort of his federal crimes. But we also know the power does not extend to state crimes. And just minutes after Manafort was sentenced today, he was indicted on a series of state charges in New York.
That's right, David. The Manhattan District Attorney has charged Manafort with 16 crimes, most having to do with allegations of mortgage fraud. Legal scholars say it could be an insurance policy to try and make sure Manafort does time behind bars, even if he's pardoned by President Trump. David?
Pierre Thomas with us tonight as well. Pierre, thank you. And overseas tonight from Lagos, Nigeria, the desperate search at this hour after the collapse of a building with a school inside. Rescuers used an excavator today to try to peel away the debris right there, some using shovels, others using their hands. Dust-covered and dazed children seen being carried to waiting ambulances. More than 30 people have been rescued, but at least 8 have died. They fear that number will go up. Tonight, the Pentagon has announced a new policy for transgender troops after President Trump ordered a complete ban. Beginning next month, no one who has been diagnosed with gender dysphoria, has had hormone therapy, or gender reassignment surgery will be allowed to join the military. Currently serving troops who already identify as transgender will be grandfathered in. There is here the urgent manhunt for a dangerous fugitive escaping custody twice, stealing a police car while handcuffed. Here's ABC's Lindsay Davis.
Tonight, the desperate search for this man, Travis Lee Davis, who allegedly broke free from custody twice and in 2 separate states in just 1 week. Police in Oklahoma say Davis was handcuffed behind his back this morning when he somehow took this police cruiser and drove it for more than a mile before crashing. This saga actually began on Monday when officials at the Pettis County Jail in Missouri discovered that Davis broke out nearly a day and a half earlier, allegedly climbing into a ceiling and escaping through a maintenance hole. Investigators got close this morning when a female driver in rural Oklahoma called 911 claiming she'd been kidnapped and forced to drive at gunpoint. Davis was soon arrested but managed to escape in that cruiser.
Davis was being held in that Missouri jail on charges of kidnapping, endangering the welfare of a child, and domestic assault. Police consider him to be very dangerous. David?
Lindsay, thank you. When we come back to the index of other news tonight, California's governor suspending the death penalty. Governor Gavin Newsom halting executions while he's in office, calling it ineffective and immoral. The state has the largest death row in the country, more than 700 inmates. A former priest was killed in Henderson, Nevada. Police say John Caparelli was found shot to death in his kitchen. The defrocked priest was one of more than 180 clergymen accused of child sex abuse in New Jersey. Facebook and Instagram are reporting global outages tonight. Millions of users have been unable to post images or send or receive messages. Facebook said they're working on it through a tweet. When we come back here tonight, and finally tonight here, what is determination? Tonight, Alex Trebek doing exactly what he said he would do. He has returned to work, back on the job just a week after revealing his cancer diagnosis, stage 4 pancreatic cancer. He vows to beat the odds, tackling it, as we all heard, with his trademark wit.
With the help of your prayers also, I plan to beat the low survival rate statistics for this disease. Truth told, I have to, because under the terms of my contract, I have to host Jeopardy for 3 more years.
Trebek, who is 78, has been the host of Jeopardy for 35 seasons. This was his first night.
Alex Trebek.
34 Emmys. Tonight, what he told People magazine just weeks ago about his wife, Jean, together 29 years. He said he wishes he met her earlier, asking for an even longer life together. Those words now even more poignant with this new battle and with so many of you at home pulling for him. Trebek, tonight, back at work. We are all rooting for Alex Trebek. I'm David Muir. I hope to see you right back here tomorrow. Good night.